Ladies and gentlemen, oh shit, I forgot the theme song.
No matter what you're doing, or what you're playing, no matter what you're saying, you're doing it all the same. No matter who you are, where you're coming from, get your head.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 5 of the Cheap Beer Fantasy Football League prior week recap, future week forecast, evening talk show. As always, I am your host, Mish. We are recording live in front of a studio audience. What do you say? A great turnout tonight in beautiful Bellevue, Kentucky at Center Street Studios. And feel free all episode long to hop in the chat. I want to get a little more chat involvement. Let's get some questions from you. And I think some of you may have some questions for our super secret surprise guest. I'm not going to spill the beans just yet, but I'm telling you, I can't believe that we got him here. It's our first guest of all time that is not in the league, a local celebrity, if you will. So it's really exciting for the show. I see big things in store for the show, and the future's bright. But before we talk about the future, let's review the past. Week 13 in the Cheap Beer Fantasy Football League. Speaking of, I'm going to go through last week's matchups, start with the biggest blowouts, end up with the closest games. You know how this works. The biggest blowout, that belonged to Bodie. Bodie put up 151.66 points. Great outing from Bodie. And Corey, Bud. Corey scored 53.68 points. That's the largest margin of the season, maybe of the entire existence of this league. That was a margin of victory of 97.98 points.
Whoa.
Corey had Evan McPherson. If he didn't kick the game-winning field goal, that would have been a 100-point win by Bodie. But he did kick the field goal. The Bengals won. I'm sure you watched. Bodie was led by Brock Purdy. That guy can't lose, and neither can Bodie last week. 32.46 points out of Brock. Corey, as I mentioned, was led by Evan McPherson, led by his kicker. Corey, you dumbass. He put up 12 points. Not a bad showing, but again, you don't want your kicker to be your high scorer, Corey. Figure it out. Moving on. Our second biggest blowout. Dilly Donuts, 177.82 points. Attaboy Dill. He beat Neil, another whopper. Neil put up 114.24. That's a margin of victory of 63.58 points. That's more points than Corey scored. He beat him by 63.58. Oh, we have a new audience member showing up. Neil's in the house. Neil, let's go. Welcome to the show. Grab yourself a seat. You might be standing room only at this point. It's a real packed house here in the studio. Where was I? Oh, Neil. Speaking of which, Neil, you got rocked. Neil scored 114.24. Dilly was led by DK Metcalf, an absolute animal of a human being, a real freak of nature, 37.4 points. Great showing out of that young man. Neil was led by another freak of nature, Deebo Samuel. Not enough of a freak. Only scored him 36.8 points, and it wasn't enough to beat Dill. If he would have scored 7 more touchdowns, it would have been a closer game. Moving on. Our third highest win, that belonged to Nate. Nate put up 133.5. He beat me. We're not going to talk about this one too much. I scored a respectable 86.46 points. Margin of victory of 47.04. Who really cares? Nate was led by Tyreek Hill. 32.8 points. He's a human cheat code. I was led by Chris Olave, 17.4 points. My best guy, only 17 points. Not great. I don't know what I was thinking. And that was a really important week for me. More on that later. I really blew it. What else is new? Braden. Moving on. Braden, 156.36 points. Beat Jordy. Jordy put up a respectable number. Would have beat a lot of guys, not Braden. 122.10 points out of Jordy. That's a margin of victory of 34.26. There weren't many close games out last week. Braden was led by Nico Collins. I had to look him up. Wide receiver, Houston Texans. 32.6 points for Nico. I sure hope I'm pronouncing that right. And Jordy was led by Jamar Chase, the hometown kid. Not really hometown, but he plays for the Bengals. 29.12 points. Way to go, Jamar. Also earned me some money with that touchdown. So awesome. Moving on. Our closest game of the week. Z-Pat narrowly edges out Meat. Z-Pat beats Meat. What else is new? 90.4 points. 90.04 points for Z-Pat. Beating Meat. 87.32 points out of Meat. That's a margin of victory of only 2.72, a real nail biter. Meat, sorry you lost that one, bud. It was really close. If your kicker would have kicked another field goal, you could have won. But he didn't, so you lost. CeeDee Lamb, he led Z-Pat in scoring, 29.6 points. Meat was led by Derrick Henry, 27.5 points. Time to award this week's dumbasses and top dogs. Dumbasses. If you don't score at least 90 points, you're an automatic dumbass. Meat, dumbass. Myself, dumbass. I've never done this before. Mega super dumbass is Corey, only scoring 53.68 points. If you don't score 90, you're a dumbass. I say if you don't score 54, you're a mega dumbass. I'm not going to say it. Top dogs, that belongs to Bodie, Braden. Any one of these is an incredible score. 151.66 for Bodie, top dog. 156.36 for Braden, top dog. Dilly blows him out of the water. Super mega top dog. 177.82. I didn't do the research, but I think that might be the most points scored this year. Audience? Second highest. Who scored more?
I think Braden.
Braden may have scored more at one point.
Still more, maybe.
Could be a rumor. Who knows? But congrats to you guys, top dogs. So to summarize, week 13, winners, Bodie, Dilly, Nate, Braden, Z-Pat. Losers, Corey, Neil, myself, Jordy, and Meat. Let's not live in the past, boys. Let's look towards the future this week. Week 14, the regular season finale. Final week of the season. I can't believe it's here already, but it is. Let's look at projections. ESPN, keep that in mind. They're not always right. They're usually pretty left, if you know what I mean. Women's sports. Nate is projected to score 120.5 points. Projected to beat Meat. Nate, congrats. Beat Meat. 88.2 points out of Meat. Meat, you're struggling, bud. You're falling off the cliff. Get your life together. That's a margin of victory of 32.3 points. We'll see how that plays out. Z-Pat, he's projected another trip to the winners column. He's projected 129.4 points. Neil, facing Neil projected 99.5 points. Neil, hit those waiver wires. You could narrow that gap. But as it stands, a margin of victory projected 29.9 points. We have Braden versus myself. That's a big game. More into that later. Braden's projected to kick my ass. 128.9 to 108.3. Margin of victory, 20.6 points. I'll see what I can do. I'm hitting the waivers. I might even make a trade. I think trade deadline's over, but I might make a trade anyway. I run this league. Moving on. Dill taking on Bodemeister. Dill projected to win a real squeaker, 9.5 point margin of victory. Dill is projected 122.5, Bodie 113. That's really anybody's game if you're south of 10 points there, but I'll be watching that one closely. And Corey versus Jordy. I am declaring this Commissioner's Choice Game of the Week. Huge playoff implications for Jordy. Projected Corey to win, squeaker, 113.3, Jordy 112.4. That's a margin of victory of 0.9 points. Not even 1 point. That could go either way. I'll be watching that one with real vigor or whatever, or intensity or whatever, any synonym you want to put in there. Thursday night football. Tonight is Thursday night. I want to give a shout out to anyone who might have players in this game. I sure hope you don't. It's the shittiest game all year. Pats versus Steelers. So good luck to you in more ways than one if you got one of those guys in your lineups. On bye this week. Check your lineups. Don't start any Cardinals or Commanders. No Cards, no Commies. They will not be playing. If you play them, there's a comment in the chat, and I just want to. I've been getting a lot of grief. Oh, you slur your words. Are you drunk? No. I don't read good. Plus, saying fantasy football, it's a real tongue twister. Alliteration, the F sounds tough. So cut me some slack, all right? I'm doing my best. Now that that's out of the way. Very funny, Jordy. How's your night going, bud? Loser. Jordy said a mean comment to me in the chat, but I hope you're having a terrible night, Jordy. Let's move on to standings and playoff projections. Playoffs. The final week of the season. The season finale. We've been waiting for this all year. It's finally here. I don't even know who that is. We got Rue Drew. I have no idea who that could possibly be. Welcome, Rue Drew.
Oh, is that Ruby Johnson?
I have no idea.
I'm getting that link out there, baby.
Rue Drew, welcome.
What's up, Ruby?
If you haven't seen the show before, it's really just about one specific fantasy football league. It's very niche.
She said she was doing it. She did.
But here we go. Standings and playoff projections. We have 4 people clinched into the playoffs. Absolutely no stress in the final week. That's right where you want to be. They have a 100% chance of making the playoffs. In the Natty division, this segment's always brought to us by our good folks at Keystone Light. Cheap beer fans football. If you're getting cheap beer, you might as well get Keystone. It's the best one on the market. That's a good beer. God, it's good beer. Natty division, first place. That belongs to Z Pat. Good on you, Z Pat. A record of 9-4, like I mentioned. 100% chance to make the playoffs. He is locked in. Second place in Natty, Nate Dogg. Big Nate Dogg. Record of 8-5. Also, 100% chance to make the playoffs. He is also locked in. No need to stress this week. Corey. Last week, you were in first place. This week, you're in third place, but you're still locked in. 100% chance to make the playoffs. No need to fret. 8-5. That's a decent record. Myself, I'm coming in fourth place. I'm 5-8. Exact opposite of Nate and Corey. I have an 11% chance of making the playoffs. I'm not giving up hope, but it is dwindling, I will admit. And in fifth place, as you know, Mr. Eliminated, the reigning champ. Oh, cut me some slack. First to worst, potentially, Bodemeister with a record of 4-9. Absolutely abysmal. 0% chance of making the playoffs. Bodie, you might as well not even start anybody this week. It's not going to be any good. Moving on to Keystone. Keystone Division, again, brought to you by Keystone. That's a good beer. In first place in the Keystone Division, we have my man Dill Dog. Dirty Dog, Dill Dog Kells. He's clinched a playoff spot with a record of 7-6. The worst record to clinch, but who cares? He's clinched. 100% chance of making the playoffs. Second place in Keystone, Neil, 7-6. 98% chance to make the playoffs. Playoffs? That'd be really bad if he didn't make it, but technically, I could sneak in there and steal that spot from you. You better watch out. Record of 7-6. Good job to you, Neil. Good luck this week. Hope you eat shit. In third place, Jordy. Again, Jordy, talking shit in the chat. Jordy, 6-7. Playoff chance of 51%. A real coin flip for Jordy. We'll see how that pans out for the young man. Fourth place, Meat. Meat, I think he scored 100 points combined the last month of the season. But somehow he sits at 6-7 with a 19% chance to make the playoffs. More than me. I don't get it. Playoffs. Braden, fifth place, bottom of the Keystone Division. Still, Braden, you can sneak in. You got a 22% chance. I don't get it. Your record's worse than Meat's, and yet you have a better chance of making the playoffs. Playoffs, 5-8. It can be done. Braden, I'll be cheering for you. Let's look at some quick stats. Most points scored this year. Braden, sitting bottom of the Keystone, yet he scored the most points. Life's truly not fair. 126.8 points per week, Braden. That's a hell of a season. It's just not showing up in the win column. And I'll tell you why. Most points allowed. Also, Braden, 124.03 points allowed per week. That's insane. Least points scored, Meat. He sucks. 98.61 points. It's abysmal. That's 8.61 points away from perpetual dumbass status. And least points allowed, Corey, 102.66 points per week. Still more points than Meat scores on any given week. Unbelievable. Longest active win streak. We have 3 ties. 3 men are riding a 2-game win streak. Those men are Z-Pat. Congrats, Z-Pat. Braden. Congrats, Braden. That's what's got you in the playoff hunt. You've had a nice couple weeks.
Playoffs.
And Nate Dogg. Nate Dogg, also 2-game win streak. So congrats to Z-Pat, Braden, and Nate. Our longest active losing streak, and a little bit of karma for you, Jordy, that belongs to you. 3 games you haven't won. 3 games in a row you've lost. That's why you're coin flipping for this last playoff spot.
Playoffs.
Speaking of playoffs,
Playoffs.
our playoff standings after 13 weeks. Z-Pat, my best pal, sitting with the 1 seed. He's looking like he could get the bye. I always knew he was bye. 2nd seed, Dill. Dill sitting in the 2 seed position. Dill also looking at a bye. Z-Pat and Dill getting some buys. The 3-6 matchup as it currently stands, more on this later. Nate versus Jordy. If it was over today, it'd be Nate versus Jordy. But you know what? It's not over today. We got 1 more week to go. And the 4-5 matchup, my favorite matchup in the playoffs, Corey versus Neil, which is crazy. If I do remember correctly, which I very well might not, I think Corey and Neil were 1 and 2 last week looking at buys. They were the buy guys. This week, they're 4 and 5. A lot of movement here late in the cheap beer fantasy football league. So, to summarize, there are 4 spots clinched in the playoffs. 10-man league. 4 spots are clinched. 1 man is eliminated. He's out. Bodie, better luck next year. That leaves us with 5 men. 5 guys fighting for 2 playoff spots. And I'm going to give you a little scenario how I can sneak into the playoffs. Selfish. I didn't look at everyone's playoff chances, but I did look at mine. It's my show. If you want to look at yours, start your own show. I will steal the 6th seed if the following things happen. If I beat Braden, if Corey beats Jordy, if Nate beats me, and I outscore Jordy by 6.02 measly points, if all those things happen, I'm sneaking my way right into the playoffs.
Playoffs.
But here's what's a real bitch. I could be in the playoffs. On the other side of the coin, I could fall into last place. Despite the fact that Bodie's eliminated from the playoffs, he is not eliminated from the last place guarantee. I could still get last place. Here's how that could possibly happen. I will fall into last place if Bodie beats Dill, which projections, Dill's projected to win by 9.5. Pretty close. If Braden beats me, which is projected to happen by 20 points, not good. And if I fail to outscore Bodie by 55.2 points, very unlikely. I'm looking at either playoffs or last place. And that's the beauty of fantasy football. Guys, it is my honor. You know, each week I try to get a guest. And I've been fortunate. I've had Jordy on the show. I've had Bodie on the show, both reigning Lombardi Trophy champions, 2 times each. I've had Nate on the show, a real competitor this year, a real contender. Hasn't won it yet, but it could be his year. But this week, I have someone with no chance of winning the Lombardi. And that's because they're not in the league. We've branched this show out to the mainstream America. We have someone that is not anything to do with this league, and yet they volunteered to come on this show. I am so happy, after a lot of work, to introduce my guest, Kim Patton, better known as Zach's mom. Yeah! Zach's mom, baby, that's right. Kim, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Now, Kim, I don't know if you watch the show, but on this show, I like to ask the guests a couple of questions. Do you mind if I ask you some questions?
Go ahead.
My first question. Are you even a fan of football?
I love football.
Who's your favorite team? The Bengals. Okay. So you're a hometown cheerer.
Of course.
When's the last time you went to a Bengals game?
A long time ago.
A long time ago. Zach?
A long time ago.
Maybe it'd be a nice Christmas gift. You took your mom to a Bengals game. Lord knows she's done enough for you in her lifetime.
Ain't that the truth?
Gosh. I took my mom to a game not too long ago.
Wow.
We had a blast.
Must be nice.
It was very nice. Do you care if I ask you another question?
Go for it.
Speaking of the Bengals.
That's why we're here, right?
That's why we're here. Speaking of the Bengals, there's a lot of buzz around Joe Burrow. Have you heard of him?
A time or two.
And everyone's curious to know, do you think he's handsome?
Yeah.
Do you think he's handsome?
Mm-hmm.
Is it because of the money or just the charming good looks?
Probably a combination. Ocean?
You know he's worth $250 million.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
People tell me I look like him.
Yeah.
Can I ask you another
Do you
question?
have the money that he
Well, I'm not going to talk finances. This isn't that kind of show. Zach, if you're watching, feel free to hop in the chat, ask a question to your lovely mother. Your dad's here too. Can I ask you another question?
Sure.
Speaking of Zach, you know I love him like a brother. He's an accomplished individual. He has a college degree from a prestigious university in EKU. He has a beautiful wife.
Yes, he does.
He has a well-behaved son and a child on the way.
Yeah.
He has a fruitful career at a Fortune 500 company.
Mhm.
And yet, he's never won the Lombardi Trophy. Do you think he's a failure?
Absolutely not.
You don't think he's a failure?
No.
Well, he's never won the league. As a matter of fact, I don't think he's ever come close.
Well, it sounds like he's got a very good chance.
This could be his year. So,
I mean, I'm feeling pretty confident.
you think the wife, the family, the college, the job outweighs the lack of success in this league? You still love him.
A little.
Okay.
We'll see.
Can I ask another question? You have a couple of children. This one's not about Zach.
I do.
We have a 10-man league. We have since the beginning, but recently there's been rumblings about potentially expanding the league, maybe 12 guys as
Yes.
opposed to 10, make it a little tougher. And it's my understanding that Kaylee is dating Evan.
That is correct.
Do you think that they'll date long enough that we should invite Evan into the league?
I hope so.
I do
I
too.
would love to see that happen.
Evan, if you're watching out there, bud, I love you, dude. And Kaylee, you got a real catch. And Evan, you might be getting an invite to the league. Keep your eye on your email. Also, what is your email?
I think he would be a great addition.
Why so? Does he know a lot about football?
Yeah.
I've seen him at tailgates. I've never seen him in the actual game.
Oh, yeah.
I know he tailgates.
He does tailgate.
Oh, yeah.
At home and there.
Oh, yeah. Evan,
Oh, yeah.
you very well might be getting an invite to the league. Chat, please, if you got any questions for Zach's mom, anything that's been... Bodie, we have Bodie, question for Zach's mom. Of Zach's friends, who is your favorite?
Not even a fair question.
You can say no comment. I think her eyes say it all. She's looking right at me.
It's you.
I think I might be. Sarah's watching. Sarah says, or girls. I don't even know what that means. Sarah, are you drunk? Elaborate, Sarah. I don't really know what that question means.
Maybe she's asking if you would entertain the idea of having girls. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe that's what she's thinking.
I entertain that thought almost daily. Yeah, we're open to girls being in the league. If any girls, single, young, beautiful girls, would like to hop in the league, send me an email. I'll send you my email. Kim, I want to say what a pleasure it has been to have you on the show. I do have one final question for you, if you don't mind. Do you care if I ask you one more question?
One more. That's it. No more.
Let's say I do manage to sneak into the playoffs, and I find myself matched up against Zach.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you cheer for? Your real son or the son you always wish you had? Zach, I think that question's been answered. I think your mom, the guest on my show, would be cheering for me. That's right, baby. Your mom's cheering for me. But before that even, comes into fruition, I got to make my way into the playoffs. Zach already guaranteed in the playoffs. Good on you, Zach.
Yes, congratulations. Good job, buddy.
Kim, those were all the questions I had for you today. Again, I want to thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for Zach's mom! Kim, thank you. Oh, well, Kim, you care to come right back? We have one question. Okay. Okay, Sarah is Tam. Tam, nice to see you. I'd love to see you in person again. Ever since your wedding, you fell off the face of the earth. I don't get it. Question for Zach's mom from Jordy Bonzer. Who do you think wins tonight? Pittsburgh or the Steelers? Or Pittsburgh or the Patriots? The Pittsburgh Steelers or the Patriots?
I don't care to see either one.
You want them both to lose?
Yes.
A tie.
Sure.
Jordy, she thinks they're going to tie.
I don't know. Is that really a loss?
It's not a win. It's not a win.
Jordy's looking for some advice.
I don't think that they can both lose. So a tie is probably as good as we can get.
So if I had to pick,
yeah,
I would say.
Can you name a player from either team?
Probably not.
There you have it, folks. She doesn't know who's on either team.
No.
And that's fine. Because, she
but
cheers for the Bengals.
If I was going to pick,
yeah, who
I
do
would
you got?
say.
If I know Jordy, he's asking because he's about to wager money he
I
shouldn't
would
be
not
wagering.
pick Pittsburgh ever.
Okay, so you're going Patriots.
Yeah. I don't like either one, but yeah.
Jordy, throw your money on Bill Belichick and then Pats up in
No,
England. And Allison, Nate's lovely wife, says, "Go Zach's mom." Oh, whoa! We got one more question from Sarah/Tam. Question for Zach's mom. It's coming.
You knew I'd be a popular guest, didn't you?
I knew it. I had to get you on here before Zach. She says, question for Zach's. Are you ready for Molly's? Are you coming to this year's Christmas?
Yes, I will be there.
She will be there.
I will.
Will you be signing autographs? You might.
Yes,
have.
I will.
There you go, folks.
Of course.
Come to Molly Malone's December 22nd. Z-Pat, Kim Pat. They're throwing a Christmas party for everyone, even Jewish people. You can come on out, celebrate Christmas. It's going to be I should have kept that comment for when you were off screen. You can't hold Zach's mom accountable for anything I said. Kaylee Patton's joined in. Do you know Kaylee Patton? Who is Kaylee Patton? Who's your favorite kid?
I don't have a favorite. Like I've told you many times before. You're all unique in your own way.
There you have it, folks. There's nothing like a mother's love. One more time for Kim Patton. Thank you, Kim. Thank you. All right, folks. What a show. Zach, you motherfucker. I bet you didn't see that coming, did you, bud? We're going to end the show, but not before we hit up Nate's Joke Corner. Audience, feel free to laugh. Nate sent me a joke today because last week he did do a little comedy routine, and I had a blast. And he did tell me every good talk show has a comedy routine, and I agree. It was the one thing missing from the show. So Nate's joke, ready, here it is. How many construction workers does it take to change a light bulb?
I don't know.
Anybody?
How many?
2. 1 to hold the bulb, and 1 to whistle at my wife as we walk by. That's a knee slapper. Thank you, Nate. I'll be looking forward to next week's jokes. Guys, that's all I have for you this week. Tune in next week. Next week's going to be a special episode. It's going to start the playoffs. We're going to find out exactly who is in those elusive playoff spots. And tune in. Or you know what? Better yet, show up. I buy pizza. I got beer in the fridge, 365. Evan, come on over. Kaylee, Lexi, Sarah/Tam, whichever one of you it is. Allison, Corey, for once, come on over. I haven't seen you in months. Come on over. Enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. I played a theme song. It's not working. What else is new? See you next week, folks.